Hey, do you struggle with lower back pain? Wait until the end because I'm going to break down the step-by-step process that I've used for not just myself, but for clients like my boy Isaiah. So I'm going to break down this process of how I was able to clear up my lower back pain, help my boy Isaiah get rid of his, and a lot of other people. So I am not the type of coach that's going to give you the scientificals. Yes, I understand these things, but I'm not going to give you you need to fix L2, L4, C6. Like, bro, I'm going to break it down very efficient, step by step, short, concise, and sweet. And the reason I'm doing this is because I've invested into plenty of coaches myself, and they've given me all the information, but what they did not provide me was the implementation. They told me that you need to fix how your spine moves, how your posture is, but they didn't tell me how I was actually able to do it. And if you're not somebody that went to school for, kinesiology, then you're probably not going to understand a coach telling you how to get rid of your lower back pain without having to do extensive research. And so my whole way of doing things is breaking it down, not because you're dumb, not because you don't understand these things, but because you don't want to spend all this time trying to dive deep into the information. You just want the actual answers, the results. So I'm breaking this down, and the reason I have energy is because C4 is providing me a stimulus. Yes, it's a bit of an unnatural stimulus, but we're making do with it. So in today's video, I'm breaking down why lower back pain comes up and how to actually prevent it, and then how to clear it up so you don't have to worry about it. So lower back pain comes up for a variety of reasons, but what I found is the most common is sitting, right? You're sitting in a chair all day long like this, and then your body, you start to lean back, your spine starts to, compensate. The other main reason is posture. So if you're standing, right, and your posture is this, or this, or this, or this, or any of these things, bro, you're gonna have some sort of lower back pain come up. And I've been on a lot of calls with a lot of gentlemen, that want to build muscle mass, and they've run into issues like slip discs. As a matter of fact, my dad had a lot of slip discs when he was younger, which I always didn't understand what that even meant until I did the research myself, went through the schooling, the training, etc., and dealt with lower back pain myself. But now that I've experienced how to actually get rid of it, I figured I'd break down the whole sauce for you guys. Also, in the background, you can probably see my books. Highly recommend you guys read, because if you can read, then you can apply information directly into your life. So when it comes to lower back pain, how to clear it up, again, like I said, most importantly, it's going to be your posture and if you're sitting long periods of time, right? What both these have in common is your body's going to start to compensate. So if your posture is not great, like your spine's going to compensate for that, and that's where you're going to put excessive stress on the lower or the upper back, or maybe the middle somewhere. But usually lower back pain is what causes this discomfort. And if you're sitting long periods of time, your body's going to compensate because you just simply don't have enough strength to be in this upright tall posture all the time. So personally, what I dealt with was lack of thoracic extension, right? So we had three portions of the spine: top, middle, and bottom. I cannot extend very well at the time, right? To extend and reach back. The lower back, the lumbar, started to compensate. So every time I would go to reach up this way, because I didn't have enough strength up here, enough mobility, my lower back pain would come up, right? Because the lower back is compensating for that, and you're starting to get this arch in the spine. So what I did to actually address these things was a couple things. One was first fix my posture. So what this means is, you've probably heard this saying, pull your shoulders down and back. I would literally pull my shoulder blades down and back, and this allowed me to sit up tall, having this upright posture, rather than this, right? So just being aware of these things, sitting at a desk, sitting in a chair like this, especially as I became an online fitness coach and I started working at home from a desk rather than standing on a gym floor all day, I noticed that my lower back was bothering me, so I had to adjust my posture simply by pulling my shoulders down and back. And so it's pretty straightforward, bro. Just pull your shoulders down and back, bring your chest up. And if you feel a ton of excessive lower back strain from doing that, then try to get a little bit of a slight slouch, but not rounding over at the top here, right? So you're here, boom. Eventually your body gets trained to be in this natural position. Now that's the first and foremost thing. The next thing that's super common is you're gonna have tight, weak hip flexors, right? Whether it's tightness or it's weakness, it's gonna be correlated. If you have weak muscles, then they're gonna be tight because they're not moving through their full range. And if they're weak, they're also gonna be tight, right? So those two terms, tight and weak, are gonna go hand in hand. So if you have hip flexors that are not strong, then that's gonna lead to a lower back that's also not strong and therefore compensates and is weak. So I had tight hip flexors because I wasn't doing proper movements like my hinging patterns, which hinging is just going to be like all your hip thrust patterns, you moving your hips forward and back through their full range. So for me, weak and tight hip flexors and lack of posture led to my lower back pain. And now that I've addressed all that, how can you actually do the same? Well, we've talked about the posture thing, right? So pulling your shoulders down and back, opening your chest up, this nice tall posture here without arching, literally just thinking about over accessing the tall spine, right? And then if it's too uncomfortable, get a slight slouch. You kind of just rounded the shoulders. Eventually, you can start to get yourself propped up in this more upright and neutral posture, because you have, again, the three portions of the spine. So for you, what you want to do is you want to make sure that that spine is nice and straight, right? And when you can do that, then you're not going to have pain anymore, because your body's not going to compensate to try to get into these awkward positions. Now, once you do that, you also want to address the rest of the area around the spine. So we have our spine. What attaches to the spine is our pelvis, which are the hips, right? And so, of course, if the hips are tight, it's going to lead to your lower back not being able to move freely, and likely also be tight and have some pain. So make sure your hips are not all messed up, right? Like doing that is not going to make it very easy for your lower back to feel good, or your back in general to feel good. So doing things like hip strengthening exercises is your best bet. And we don't need to stretch. We don't need to be doing all these things. Stretching is for losers with a capital L. When I say that, what I mean is not that you shouldn't stretch, but every time you stretch, you're putting excessive stress on the area that's tight. And it's basically a band-aid on the issue that's providing you some sort of temporary relief. But what's not doing is addressing the root cause. And the root cause is what you need to address your lower back pain and make sure that it stays away for life, right? So what you want to do is make sure you're doing your hip thrusts, you're doing your glute exercises, you're doing your hamstring exercises, you're doing your squats, you're doing your lunges, you're doing these sorts of exercises. You don't have to be doing them with a ton of weight, bro. You don't need to be doing the barbell, the dumbbells, etc. Just do some sort of exercise, at least body weight, putting yourself through this full range of motion with every exercise, and you're going to eliminate all of this. But you guys watching probably don't want to be in the gym spending much of time doing this stuff. Because I know personally, I'm a fitness fanatic. I would love to spend all the time in the gym if I could. But I also run a business, and so I don't have time to be in the gym 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a week, right? So I'm in the gym just a couple times a week for 30 to 45 minutes. And that's it, bro. I don't have enough time because, yeah, we make the time, and ideally, I'd love to do that. But there are a lot of weeks where I just don't have the time because I have other priorities, like managing my business, managing my clients, running other things that are going on more important, like playing sports, like playing basketball, all of these sorts of things. And so when I started to bring strategy, efficiency into my style of training, that is when things open up for me. And I realized, okay, I can actually get a lot more done with a lot less time, and I can therefore give back to my clients and help them get better results. So that being said, as much as I love fitness, I love being in the gym 24/7, I just don't have enough time in there. And so I need to make sure that what I'm doing is most efficient, as do you. So if you run a business, or if you work a 9-to-5 job, or if you just have some sort of busy lifestyle, you probably don't have 5 to 10 hours a week to spend in the gym. You probably have more like 1 to 2 hours. And that's totally cool. That's all you need. Like I said, I'm doing 30 to 45 minute workouts, sometimes just 2, 3 times a week. And how is that I'm able to actually maintain a physique that stays healthy, feels good, and my confidence and energy levels are through the roof. In addition to my nutrition, keeping my metabolism optimized, my hormones in check, my testosterone optimized naturally. Most importantly, it's the strategy behind the way I do things. Because efficiency is most important, right? Like as much as you can get away with for a while doing more volume, that's really how I built my own physique up in my own training, was being in the gym for 2-3 hours a day for 10 years, bro. But eventually you get to a point where it's like, okay, I can't do that much anymore. I have other responsibilities, other priorities. So just simply by being efficient in the gym and strengthening my weak areas, that was all I needed to clear up my lower back pain. And my lower back pain didn't start to bother me until I was sitting for long periods of time. So making sure that A, you address your weak hip flexors by doing things like your hip thrusts, doing things like your squats, doing things like your lunges, and also preventing the stretching, because again, the stretching is going to put some temporary relief there, but then it's going to make it get more tense and tight, right? So instead of stretching, do a strength training exercise. It's going to put weight-bearing load on that area. So what that means is instead of you doing like, a stretch for your hips or a stretch for your lower back, do something that actually strengthens it instead. In this way, when you're sitting at something like a desk, you don't have to worry so much about, like it acting up, because you're used to carrying a ton of heavy weights, squatting, deadlifting with heavier weights. So that sitting up with a tall posture is not difficult because A, you've trained your body and your brain to have this tall posture, but B, it's used to a lot more demand when it comes to the gym. So the body weight exercise, such as sitting in a chair like this, the body weight upright posture is going to be very easy for you to stay pain-free. So strengthen your hips and keep your hips mobile. Keep your core strong by doing things like planks, things like leg raises, things that train the abdominals, the obliques, and the lower back, all while making sure your hips, your glutes, and your hamstrings stay mobile and healthy. And that's going to prevent all the lower back pain. And then if you can do that paired with also having proper posture where you're not slouched over like this or like this or like this or whatever, bro, that's going to make sure that you stay in a good spot. So those are the 2 things that are holding you back from having a pain-free lower back: your posture and weak/tight hip flexors and abdominals. And now if you get the hips addressed, you can focus less on the abdominals, because we have a core, which is the center of everything, right? But if our hips are in check, our hips are, properly balanced, and our posture is good, then we don't have to rely on our abs so much to keep us upright. When we're sitting in this hunched over position or this arched position, we're going to rely more on the core muscles, right? But if we have a tall posture already, like so, then it gets a lot easier to manage these things. So those are the 2 things that I recommend you implement starting today to make sure that you can actually start addressing these issues, getting pain-free. So strengthen your hip flexors, strengthen your abdominals, which will get you more mobile and pain-free. And then 2 is fix your posture. If you can fix your posture and get stronger in these weak, tight areas, then you don't have to worry about your lower back bothering you or being an issue ever again. Now, if you want to know which exercises to do for your hip flexors, which exercises to do for your core, for your glutes, your hamstrings, etc., I want you to go to my Instagram at jstroudfit and shoot me a message with the word YouTube and just let me know that you came from this video, and I'll give you a step-by-step blueprint on what you can do to start implementing these things. But those are the 2 main issues that I've seen with not just myself, but people I've spoken with, clients I used to work with in person, and clients I worked with to this day online that come to me and they're like, hey, my lower back's hurting. Boom, let's fix these two things, your posture and your weak hip flexors. And doing those two in themselves take care of all that pain. So stay tuned for the next video. I'll see you guys over on my Instagram, again, at JStroudFit. Message me the word YouTube. This way I can give you some free resources when it comes to which exercises to be doing for your specific goals. And I'll see you guys in the next one.